Let's wrap this up with a question from Rebecca. Mortgage rates question here. Ooh, if only we had a broker on the chat. Those with a PPOR and a healthy equity balance, how well were you able to negotiate your refinance? Can't speak. Not just a new rate, but perks like cashbacks, offset accounts, and redraws. We are LVR sub 60% and are due to come off 1.99% rate mid next year. Gosh, Rebecca, do you want anything else in this life? I know we were very lucky and had an awesome broker. The projected rate is somewhere in the high fives. So, look, what do you say to someone about negotiating rates in general?
Look, I would say to Rebecca, you have an awesome broker. Go to your broker and ask them to sort that out. That is their job. If somebody does that every day, they tend to get very good at it.
Yeah.
And I would just let them do that job. If you've got, he's obviously done it, or she has done a great job for you, go back and get them to work out what's important to you now in this stage of life and what you're going to have moving forward. And it may not need, my big caveat on this is it doesn't need to be a refinance. A lot of the time it's a renegotiation. So that broker might be able to go to the bank that you're with and it's rolling off 199, it might be going to 54. But that particular bank might be offering new to bank customers 5.2, just using an example. And that broker might be able to get you the new to bank rate without you having to do anything.
This is interesting. Like, this is mid next year. I love that she's thinking about it, but I want you to just get on with your life, Rebecca, until 2 months before that, because a lot can change. There could be different products. There could be different rates. Interest rates will be down more. It might not be high five. I think you're right. You know, mid next year with an LVR sub 60, you're getting the cheapest rate that you'll get.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you had this template that says this is absolutely the lowest rate that you've been offered because you're an A-grade citizen in terms of high incomes, low LVRs, like what's out there? What would your template be? Would it be LVR below 60?
Yeah, there's some banks sub 60 that just, so some banks do different stuff.
Yeah.
So some banks will price really aggressively sub 60, but some banks it's not. They will give better pricing for an 80% LVR at 4 million than another bank will at 60% 4 million. So it depends on the bank, and your broker will be versed and know who's got the appetite for what at the time.
Yeah. Can you turn your microphone?
Yeah, sorry, John. Yeah. I always go off it in.
Another question, since we've got a broker here, cashbacks. Everyone loves a cashback. I haven't heard them being bandied around as much lately.
Yeah.
What's the story with cashbacks?
I thought the cashbacks really encouraged people to refinance when they probably didn't need to.
Yeah.
I do see cashbacks. We had a meeting on Tuesday in the team and there was still a lot of cashbacks kicking around. People are still definitely getting cashbacks, and when comparisons are being put out, the cashback is still appealing to some people. Now, if you can get as good a rate at this bank and then get the cashback,
as well,
why would you not do it? But I don't know if I would refinance for a cashback.
And example of cashback, are we talking a couple of grand? Are we talking $5,000?
A couple of grand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just speak with your broker. If you don't have a broker and you've got a mortgage direct with the bank and you haven't really looked at the rate, I generally say call up and ask to speak to the pricing team or the retention team.
Yep.
So skip the queue because they've got a team that just focuses on retention or keeping clients, and say, look, I'm looking around at our options at the moment. Is there a better rate that you can do? They might ask for some evidence of a better rate. They might match it. And you can still do that if you have a broker.
Yeah.
Because they're, I think once with a lender that I was with, I called them myself and I think I just wanted to try this. And I'm like, I want a better rate. And the reason it worked more with me because I don't think the broker got a good. I think what it is, Rach, and you would know better. At different times in the market and different lenders will have a focus on different things.
So true.
And I think at this time, and I think it was St. George at the time, they were just so hungry to keep business. So the broker put the request in and they said no. So I called and I'm like, hey, I'm emailing you a letterhead from my broker that says they're about to place me with this other lender at this rate, and they matched it.
Yep.
So, go to your broker first, but if you don't have a broker, call and go to the pricing team or...
That's right.
Yeah.
And some banks are great. Some banks really embrace brokers and work really well with us post-settlement. So they allow us to reprice. There's some banks that aren't as great dealing with brokers post-settlement. I've had to say to a client, listen, this particular bank is going to give you a better rate, but they're not going to give it to me. So you need to call and say this. And I hate doing that. It really bothers me. It's not a lot of lenders. There's a few, but there are some that deal better with the client than the broker, and your broker can coach you in that.
Yeah.
Side note for Rebecca, I know she'll be all over this, but we're going to have a higher rate, and it's going to be quite a jump, isn't it? 1.99 to something
Double.
with a 5 in front
Bit
of
over
it.
double rate.
So we're already preparing for that, and we're putting that money aside as though we're living it already, like moving out of home, like changing incomes, blah, blah, blah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally. Yeah, sure, John, when I was listening, but
Sorry, John.
finally.
I'm out.
Finally. A few weeks ago now, we one of our listeners, and this just goes to show you when you have a good quality team and broker, when things go a little bit sideways, how you can be royally effed. But if you've got a broker that is very capable, well-known in bank land, not all the time, but sometimes they can make amazing things happen. So do you want me to just set the scene from my point of view?
Yeah, great.
So I'll always, if you ever want to give me any type of feedback, please email the team. No, just don't be a whinging idiot because, life happens. But if there's something that you think I should know, just flick me an email because I want to know if I referred you to John and one of John's employees stole 20 grand from you. Like, I'd like to know that. You know what I mean? If John misses an appointment, just life happens. Don't let me know about that. Like, just stuff like that, right? That happened yesterday, didn't it?
Didn't miss it, just ran late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carly messaged me. I'm like, I don't care. He's probably busy. Chill out. Anyway.
Got there.
Um,
I felt like a doctor running late for
I know.
next
And,
appointment.
that's all right. Can we just have some grace here? Anyway, so old mate got an email. Hey, you referred me to Sphere. This happened, blah, blah, blah. And I don't need to get into the weeds of personal financial situations. And I think I said to him, hey, it sounds like it's not a broker problem. It sounds like it's a bank issue. And I can guarantee that. Anyway, so I think I text you. You were going away the next day or something to Spain for a holiday.
Yeah.
And your team was already on it.
Yeah.
So Nathan was on it. You were on it. So what was the issue? And this is a trap, potentially.
Yeah, so I think it's really important for people to note. So this particular case, it was something to do with the government, the 5% guarantee scheme. So that we talk about it, there hasn't been a shortage of spots for a long time. But at the end of the financial year, there was a shortage of spots and they ran out. And banks, when they give approvals, there's all these caveats into their approvals saying subject to, this government incentive being approved. Now, I think it was right near the end of financial year.
So they got pre-approval with the bank.
And they found a property and then it runs to formal approval. I think it was a couple of days before end of financial year and the spots ran out. But and I wouldn't even say it was a bank problem. It was the people like over here in the government weren't telling the banks that spots were about to run dry. So the bank didn't even know spots are about to run dry. They've issued all these people formal approvals. A lot of people got caught up in this. And then the spots ran dry. And it sounds like an easy fix. So they go, oh, you've just got to reapply in the new financial year in 2 days' time. But these particular clients didn't qualify. again because their income was going to be
go
above
up.
the threshold. So, of the 1,000 people that were impacted, maybe 950 just reapply, everything's fine. But for these particular clients, they weren't, and they could have been caught in a very precarious position.
So they basically, the bank's like, there's no spots. You owe us an extra 10% if you want to settle on this property.
Yeah, so you don't have the government scheme now, so you can't settle.
Or the 15%.
Yeah.
They do 5%.
Yeah. So
whatever it was.
It was in a case where they may have needed to find extra funds it could have been really intense. And from as a first home buyer, you would be confused because I've got my formal approval. So how can the bank take that away? But in their fine print, the bank's approval also says, subject to this government scheme being approved. And that's happened before with something completely different. We had a case once where it was with a bank that approved a company title in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, which is pretty common. And then the banks had a formal approval out. These clients are about to settle. And then in their fine print, it did say the bank can change their approvals at any time. And the bank stopped doing company title and actually took away all the approvals in place. And another bank came and saved us at the last minute. And it was actually the same bank that saved the day in this case, which is a big bank that did something. So we went to this big bank and said, this is the predicament. And the bank had already come back to this client and said, no. But we went back and said, well, this is the whole case. We can't get it approved again.
Yeah, so they had a 5% deposit. The government was going to guarantee the 15% or the balance.
Yeah.
But no spots available. If you want to settle next Thursday on the property, you need to come up with an extra 40 grand or something like that, or an extra 15% security.
But these are the things when there's these things that happen, and from the government's perspective, they're like, oh, they just reapply. But there's these little things that fall through the cracks, like people that can't just reapply because they aren't going to be approved again.
Yeah, because if the financial year ticks over, their income, John, would have been higher to get to the scheme.
Yeah. So what are we saying?
Anyway, the shout out, the bank actually did it themselves. So the government wouldn't come to the party and say, no, we're not giving this spot to this client because we ran out of spots. And black and white, no way. They can reapply or they can come up with the other 15%. There may have been some other solutions, but the bank actually have settled this loan for them with a 5% deposit, no mortgage insurance and no government guarantee in place.
Just took the risk to look after their customer.
They just took the risk because at the end of the day, there's a client at the end of it. And, the bank, and if the bank wouldn't have come to the party, we probably would have come to the party, even though it's not the bank's fault and it's probably not our fault, but we still have an obligation to this client, as do the bank. So the bank came to the party without us doing anything, which was great. But I guess we also give that bank an incredible amount of business. And they also know that there's a client at the end and they want to do the right thing by the client. They don't want a client to be caught up because they're, but I think there would have been a number of clients that did get caught in that particular instance.
Yeah, because they would have had to get LMI and maybe they couldn't service with the extra borrowing or no parental guarantee, no other banks or lenders. So it just all goes to show you that having good quality brokers that write high volume, it can be what's good for the geese is good for the gander, because your team...
And I did promise the Commonwealth Bank a big shout out to say thank you for saving me in that case and the client. So thank you, the Commonwealth Bank. That's the second time they've bailed us out for a relationship thing where really it didn't make sense to them, but it made sense for the big relationship. So thank you, Commonwealth Bank.
Well done. When you've got 70% of Australia's lending, then you can probably give the occasional one away, can't you? Shout out.
We'll take that as a comment, John. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.